Hi guys, my name is Annalisa. Thanks for coming to my channel. Today I'm going through the palette tag, which I saw recently from Bridget with the username of Porcelain. I just found her recently. I saw the video like a few minutes after it uploaded, and I was like, oh my god, I'm jumping on this train. I really like this. This is really cool. So I have listed all of my palettes down here in my kitchen. I went through and did my homework, my research, and my oldest, newest, most expensive, affordable, blah, 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 in the list. And I even created my own honorable mentions because I have a few that I believe should be mentioned, although they didn't quite make the cut. And I also did some so that I didn't have repeats. And so, for example, if my newest one is also my most expensive, I went with the next one up for the most expensive. So, without further ado, let's dive in. So, to start off, what is my newest palette? I have the Cremated by Jeffree Star Cosmetics palette. I think I got this Friday last week. It's Monday. So, I have been digging into this. I've used this 4 times since then. I've gone like half a day, started new makeup, and started over again, creating a bunch of different looks with it. I really do like this a lot. It retailed for $58 through Jeffree Star website. I was very fortunate to be able to obtain it during the launch, so I'm very excited with this palette, and it is definitely one of my new favorites. So here it is. So next up in the list is Show Us Your Oldest palette, and boy, I had to research this one because I didn't even know when the release date was. Now, this is the Naked 3 palette from Urban Decay Cosmetics. This is... Boy, this is old. I believe the date it popped up was November 2013, I want to say. I know it was 2013. I think November is what I remember from it. By far, this is, I think, one of my first actual palettes that I bought. It was this one. It is an oldie but goodie. Now, I know there's on the back, the little symbol and how many months that it's good for. This one says 12 on here, and boy, it's been more than 12 months, so let me tell you, I probably will not get rid of this until I hit pan and then clear those pans. It is an oldie but goodie, and I really, really like this palette. It did retail for $54, which, even though I didn't buy it initially at launch, I got it soon after it did, and $54, I mean, I do think is a lot for how many shades? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus a brush, double-ended brush. Back in 2013, 2014, I was not working full-time yet. I was part-time, so spending that type of money for me was a lot at that time. Nowadays, I can afford a little bit more often than I did back then. I'm working full-time. I've got better income than I did then, but man, this was definitely this was it. This was the winner. So, all right. So next up is what was your most expensive palette? Now, to avoid having doubles, technically Cremated palette from Jeffree Star would have come in at first place at $58. However, I'm skipping that and going to the next expensive one, which was the Bloodlust palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics at $54 retail. I got this a little bit before the Cremated palette. This was my first palette from Jeffree Star. I do love the pinks and purples. Those are my real colors I love when I love to branch out into colors. Pinks and purples are definitely it. This palette rocks. I enjoy this palette very much. So the packaging, the velvet on the inside and everything was well worth my payment of $54 plus other items that I got from Jeffree Star Cosmetics, which I did try on in another video that I made, so don't be afraid to check that one out as well. So next is, what is your most affordable palette? I have the LA Colors Cool palette, which retails for $3. And it is one I picked up at the store recently. Now, I'm not typically one for drugstore brand makeup. However, this did catch my eye, and I did find that I like it. So there are some exceptions to drugstore makeup that I will try occasionally. For the most part, I just don't think they are worth it for their price point, but this was one of those exceptions. For $3, it was something that I couldn't pass up. And so this is the LA Cool palette. Now, I did want to do a couple honorable mentions because I've got a bunch of palettes in my collection. Not all of them will be in this series here. However, a few of them would have made honorable mentions for them. And in this category, show your most affordable palette. Upon doing my homework, my honorable mention would be the Wanderlust palette by Profusion Cosmetics. Now, this was a gift given to me, so I had to do my research. My friend Erin knew I had a love for makeup when we worked together. She got this to me about a year ago, and it does retail for $10. I do believe she got it at Target because she is a big Target person. And so this would be my next honorable mention as most affordable palette. So next question is, what is your everyday palette? That would be the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, which retails for $49. Now, I have used this several times, especially because it's now summer. We are in the middle of June, and I have received this in a package from Too Faced Cosmetics. Recently, I did a video unboxing from them. Now, I technically got this as a package deal from Too Faced Cosmetics. I Want Sex and Peaches, which includes the palette, the eyeshadow insurance primer, and Better Than Sex mascara for $49. So it's like a buy the palette, get those two for free deal. And I've used this many times over the last few weeks. This is my everyday summer palette right now. I do like it. I know I'm late to the game with this palette. I never purchased it before, but I know this came out a while ago, but I am here and I am living for it. So this is the winner for that one. Now, I do want to do another honorable mention for my everyday palette. Would next be the Butter London Natural Goddess palette, which retails for $32. Now, I got this as a BoxyCharm item a few months back, and I've found that this was my, I think I got it in February, I want to say. And no, it was before that. It was in the fall, I think. And I got that. I was using it every day for 3 weeks on it. I think 3 weeks straight I was using this bad boy. So this is why I wanted to consider this a honorable mention for that. This is just easy to travel with. A nice casing. I love flowers. I'm a floral person. So this would be my honorable mention. All right, so the next question is, what is your most colorful palette? I would have to say that it would be the Morphe X James Charles Mini Palette, which retails for $26. I picked this up at Ulta in an online order a few months back. I recently just used it in another video, trying it, first impressions, my thoughts on it. This is the winner of the most colorful because there are 39 shades, and in my video I had mentioned that it just reminds me of a rainbow palette that you could use, if I could only travel with one palette, it would likely be this because of the color, the rainbow color, and so many shades available. So this is the winner for that category. Okay, so the next question is, what is your smallest palette? That would be the Urban Decay Honey Pot palette. This came in the Honey Pot set. This set included a eyeshadow primer, an eyeliner pencil, and a setting spray. And then this palette, that set retailed for $59. I did get it through Ulta a few months ago in an order. And I do like to use this occasionally when I'm feeling golden. This is the palette I will go to for that. And then I did want to do another honorable mention, which would be the next smallest palette would be the Lorac Pro Metal. Now, this is the old version. I think I got this from Kohl's, and when I did my research on it, I think it retailed for $28. And I don't use this very much anymore. I just, it kind of sits, collects dust. I don't know why I kept it. The colors are pretty. There's 8 shades in here, and it's a variety of shades. I just don't think it, if I remember correctly, I just don't think it blends well. Blending was a problem, which is kind of a biggie for me. So this was the honorable mention for my smallest palette. So up next, the question is, what is your biggest palette? That would be the Morphe x Jeffree Star palette. I picked this up through Ulta a few months ago with the setting spray, the Starberry setting spray. Which I liked a lot. Unfortunately, my son sprayed it all and used it all up, so that I didn't get to use that very much. But this palette, I do find it is quite large. There are quite a few shades in here, but it is definitely one of the biggest in my collection right now. So that would be the winner for that category. All right. Up next is the question, what palette do you have the best memory with? That would be the Kylie Cosmetics Holiday Palette. It retailed for $44. Again, I got through Ulta. I'm an Ulta girl. Diamond status. And currently it is discontinued at this time. I do know that. I recently tried to look it up, and it's no longer on their website. But I bought this in I think it was fall last year, and I used it like every day at work, and I got compliments from my coworkers, and then it just kind of like snowballed, and I just kept using it, and I kept getting more compliments and compliments. There's a lot of pinks on here, which is one of my go-to shades, so I really played with, different combinations, and I just remember feeling like a rock star in this. So this is the winner for that category. The palette with the best memory would be the Kylie Cosmetics Holiday Palette. Okay, so the next question, what palette was worth the hype? For me, that would be the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette, which retailed for $42. This was one of my first Sephora purchases. I have mentioned earlier, I'm an Ulta girl. I am diamond status. I've been with Ulta, and I know it was available at Ulta, but I walked into Sephora. The atmosphere for me, I know there's some people who prefer both or prefer one over the other. Some who like both. For me, typically, every time I've walked into Sephora, I haven't had the best experiences there. And it's not just one location, it was multiple locations in my city. I just wasn't treated, I wouldn't say respect, but I wasn't given like a proper welcome, I would say. It was like, hey, do you need anything? How are you? It was like, hey. And then I look on my own, and I was a little overwhelmed because I've never been in the store before. So the one time I had a good experience, the girl went through this palette with me. It was a new release at the time. She sat me down. She went through it with me. I really enjoyed my visit there, and it convinced me to purchase the palette. Now, this is a purple and pinks. Shocker, one of my favorites. There's a row of mattes, there's a row of shimmers. For me, this was worth the hype of the release for the $42 that I paid for it. So this is the winner for that category. All right, so the next question is, what palette was not worth the hype? And for me, it was the Urban Decay Naked Smoky Eye palette. At $54, I was just not impressed. I was underwhelmed with this palette. For the price point of it, I expected more. Like my Lorac palette, it just collects dust. Probably one of my bigger regrets is buying this palette. My best friend who bought it, she convinced me that she loved it. She was fairly new to makeup, so she really hadn't purchased palettes before. This was like her first palette. I bought it. I already had the Naked 3 palette, and I was like, what is this? So this was not worth the hype. This is the winner, definitely the winner for that category. And I do want to do another honorable mention. Now, I did review this palette in a previous video. For the price point, this palette gets the honorable mention because I don't think it was worth the $42 that I spent for it. Was the Kylie Purple palette. Now, I do use this. I do like the purple shades. I do have some trouble with blending. It's very pigmented. I will give it that. Blending isn't the best. It's not the greatest. But for $42 and 9 shades, I think I overpaid for it. Maybe if it was $32, I would have felt a little bit better about it. But this is the honorable mention for a palette not worth the hype. Okay, so the next question, what is your favorite palette from a favorite brand? Now, this palette would be the I Heart Revolution Nudes Chocolate Palette, which retails for $7. Now, it looks very familiar because, like the Too Faced palette, there's a lot of similarities here. And it does mimic Too Faced cosmetics in that aspect. Now, I Heart Revolution has taken it to a whole nother level. There are several of these palettes in different shade names, like cherry chocolate. They have bronzers and blushes and highlights. I do have one of the blush and highlight sets that also retailed for $7, and I do like that a lot. This is actually what I'm wearing today. I've used 4 out of the 8 shades that come in here. I Heart Revolution is, I consider a drugstore brand. I have more items coming from them from Ulta, go figure, in the mail. Will be arriving this week. This is my favorite, only because for $7, 8 shades, you get a lot of value, and the blendability in these is stunning. If all the palettes are like this, the blendability and the payoff for it, I might invest in all of them. Now, they have some bigger palettes that retail for $15. They've got these small ones here. There's a whole variety available, and this is definitely a new favorite brand, and I have a few items. I can't wait to try them when they come in. So that's the winner. Hey guys, so that concludes my palette tag series here on all of the palettes for those categories, the winners of those categories, a few honorable mentions in there. I did take out a few questions because I felt like they, for me, were repetitive. I didn't need all of those questions. And I added in my honorable mentions. I felt like it showed most of my palettes that I have. There are a few that I didn't get to show in this video, but I enjoyed doing this type of video. If you like this, please subscribe and like and comment on the video. I always look for positive, constructive feedback, and I appreciate your time. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.